Where you live determines what kinds of opportunities you have available for all aspects of your life. It determines what kinds of jobs are available to you. It determines where you can take transportation to get to other jobs or other opportunities. It determines how much commute time you have to spend and therefore how much time you have with your family and friends.
Housing access matters because it's an essential need. We all need housing. We all have to have somewhere to live, to sleep, to eat. And I think it's incumbent on any just society to really ensure that nobody's denied access.
Where one lives makes all the difference because your housing really ties into a lot of your other needs, like finding stable employment, being close to education options, being in a good neighborhood. And if you don't have those things, you're really going to lack emotional stability and you're going to lose your sense of place in the community.
Everyone faces stress from day-to-day living, and housing should not be one of them, whether it's inside or outside, whether it's mold issues or just living in an unsafe neighborhood. One should have the choice to live where they want and how they want.
If families can't afford their rent, then they have to sacrifice other basic needs such as food or healthcare costs like prescriptions or going to the doctor when they're sick. And this can be a definite concern when families have dependents like children or the elderly or people with disabilities.
Where one lives makes all the difference because the actual geographic location of where you live grants you access to opportunity.
So what people forget is that people who live in concentrated poverty don't live in the same world that the rest of us do. Unfortunately, they have a lot fewer resources. So the entire neighborhood that they live in, the whole community they live in, is what we call a neighborhood of poverty. Not just that the people who live there are poor, but that it is poor in terms of resources. So that anyone who's trying to work their way out of poverty, anyone who is taking their studies seriously, or anyone who's trying to work their way up and save money, they have access to fewer resources, and in many cases no resources, that the rest of us are used to.
In the Richmond region, if you look at vacant homes and foreclosed properties, you see these dramatic spikes in crime rates. And so you've got a lot of disinvestment occurring in these neighborhoods, but those people still live there and they don't have access to those quality of life resources that allow them to succeed in life.
When I think about where I grew up, where I live now, and how different my life would be if I was born somewhere else, if I grew up and not only in a different city, but just a different neighborhood within Richmond.
Housing access affects our community because it can sometimes limit where people can live. For example, some people are not able to live in certain neighborhoods because they have Section 8 vouchers. By advocating for more diverse neighborhoods, you help increase resources for all people and also increase the opportunities.
Currently, due primarily to a suburban kind of growth explosion over the last 20 years, we've got kind of a spatial mismatch between where people live and the job skills that they have and then where jobs are. And so a lot of the job creation has been in these suburban environments, and people in inner cities, often poor minorities, don't have access to those communities. Therefore, they don't have access to jobs that require the skill sets that they have.
Because we didn't align jobs and transportation, because we weren't focused on creating neighborhoods of opportunity, we now have a huge transportation crisis in Virginia. And because of this transportation crisis, we are now diverting money away from schools to pay for roads. And so really, where you live makes all the difference.
Housing access influences the economy. We have to provide a workforce for our jobs. If we want to have jobs anywhere in our communities, we have to have an educated workforce, absolutely. And when you've got places that have plenty of jobs, but the people who need those jobs the most can't afford to live in that community, that's clearly a problem. And that's something that we have to combat.
At Housing Opportunities Made Equal of Virginia, we work to ensure equal access to housing for all Virginians, because where you live makes all the difference.